Hi, my name is Jenny Yang. I'm the co-founder of Metafor Software, and today I'm here with James Wickett, who's the senior DevOps engineer over at Mentor Graphics, and was a speaker on the first day of Velocity. And James talked about something that I thought was quite interesting, something called rugged DevOps, which is something that I haven't heard of very much. I may have heard sprinklings of it. So maybe, James, you can first tell us, is this a new term? Is this an industry term, this rugged DevOps? What is it, and what is it all about?
Yeah, I think rugged DevOps is, it's interesting because it's kind of taking two approaches of that I see as like industry changing things. Like in the security world, back in, I think it was like 2010, Joshua Corman and some other folks coined the term rugged software. Okay. And they released this thing called the Rugged Software Manifesto. Okay. And basically it was a way to kind of state, much like the Agile Manifesto was about a decade ago. It was basically saying, I realize that like my software is going to be used in ways that I don't intend it to be used. It's going to have to run longer, and we need to do things in a more rugged, more scalable way. Yeah. Well, and I've seen DevOps sort of be a new approach to how to do software as a service, do delivery in the cloud. I mean, like there's a lot of new things that are coming about, and the DevOps movement is really strong in that delivery. So rugged is sort of, by my estimation, like a way that the security people are starting to get like kind of the DevOps message and banner. And so kind of merging those groups together just really seems like a good kind of fit where they both play well with each other.
Well, we haven't really seen much of the security side of the house in the DevOps, certainly in the communities that I've talked with, and it's never really been mentioned. Why do you think that is? Is it that they just don't need DevOps? It's really just completely separate? Is there some hurdle in their way? Is it a cultural thing? Why haven't they taken up that movement?
Well, I think I have seen a little bit of security inside of the DevOps, or some DevOps inside of the security space. Sometimes it's like how to get data out of like Chef or Puppet or CF Engine and stuff to use it to hack other people, right? So they want to do some hacking out of that. At like the Black Hats and DEF CONs. But there's been some application security conferences with OWASP. AppSec USA last year, they had a rugged DevOps track. And down in Austin at the Lone Star Application Security Conference, LastCon, we have DevOps kind of tracks out there.
So people are starting to pay attention to it.
I mean, minutely,
it's a crack in the system.
And I think that it's going to just change. Like, the more, we're going to see security grow more and more, especially as kind of the Internet of Things and all those kind of devices continue to grow up, and as we see more and more kind of risk at large, I think we're going to see that.
See a little bit more of them coming to the forefront. And
I always think of it as like we've sort of hit this this problem that Dev and Ops figured out, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's like you'd have 100 developers and you'd have like 5 or 10 operations folks. Yep. And now you can extrapolate that same ratio out to like maybe you'd have 100 developers, maybe you have 10 operations, and you'd have 1 or half of a security person, right? It's because it's like
they're just so busy.
They're at the end of the waterfall, or they're at the end of the funnel there, and so DevOps is like, okay, let's move that around, and so the ratios are now like 3 to 1 or 5 to 1 or something like that, and so I think we'll see security where you have embedded security people, and I've seen people talk about that in organizations where they've had success kind of in that.
Well, I know that you talked a lot about Gauntlt. I think it was one of your talks yesterday. And as far as I understand it, it is an open source project, and it is a way to try to integrate security and some of those elements into DevOps. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, and what's the idea behind it? Why was it created? What was the pain it was meant to solve?
It sort of started as an idea that we spend time trying to collaborate between different groups, development and operations and security. And the one thing that kind of unites everybody together, or that could unite everybody together, is tests or failing tests. And so once you have that pipeline established where you're doing continuous delivery and your infrastructure is now code, and now you start, now that's the case, why don't we write our security testing, put that in the same buckets in the testing, because that really starts having everybody speak the same language. And so Gauntlt is written, it's basically plain text files that have kind of a certain semantic formatting to them. And with that, you're able to start collaboration between those different groups.
Is it meant to sort of automate the security testing? Is that the goal?
Yeah. So one of the problems with security testing, so like let's say you're a big company and you hire this, it's like PCI time and you're getting audited and it's time to meet your compliance, right?
Yeah,
so you got to do that.
Pain.
And then it's like, well, you drop 30 G's on a security firm to come test They come in for a week or a few days, and then at the end of that, they hand you this 500-page PDF, and you're like, I don't really know what this means. You hand this off to development teams, and they're not really sure what it means. And next year, when the security team comes back, guess what? Another 500-page PDF, and it's probably like a copy and paste of last year because you didn't really fix the stuff. And so one of the hopes is like with maybe that as a buyer, you could ask your firm, the firm that's doing the testing, say, hey, could you write some failing Gauntlt tests, or just failing tests in general. But we could see Gauntlt as a way to bootstrap that. You're never going to completely replace like the human testing element, like as you would with any good QA or security testing. But it kind of removes that low bar of just of kind of bootstrapping and running some security scanning tools that. Are commonly available, other open source tools, and it wraps those.
And kind of codifying it sounds like.
Yeah, it sort of
so
codifies and systemizes. Yeah.
So you guys use Gauntlt, I assume, in Mentor Graphics,
That's
and
right,
you've seen it work, and you're trying to, again, bring that security element into the DevOps. So besides using a tool like Gauntlt or other tools, have there been other ways that you've seen people have worked successfully to bring that security into the DevOps and the continuous delivery side of the equation?
Yeah, I'd say, there are common companies talked about at Velocity, but both Netflix and Etsy have really good stories behind this,
Okay.
and I believe Zane Lackey's talk over at Velocity New York just a few weeks back, 2013, was really great because he sort of was talking about like the idea of attack chains. So. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you think about security, it would be wrong to think that the person that's doing the attacking has like the greater upper hand, right? They have a lot of time, but they don't have knowledge of your network. They don't understand kind of the footprint of how to get in and do stuff. And so it takes a while for somebody to go in and find vulnerabilities, exploit them, pivot to the next point, and then finally, ultimately, dump your database or your customer records or something like that. And so he was in his talk, he was talking about the idea of attack chains and putting monitoring in place in all those different spots. Okay. So instead of just thinking like I have this generic front end, it's like a firewall and I test to see if people are coming in, right? Instead, why don't you monitor to see, do I start seeing SQL syntax errors in the logs? Do I start seeing my database table names showing up in the egress traffic, right? Do I start seeing large database response sizes? So if you put all those together, it's like I'm definitely being hacked right now.
So for people who are working on deploying these systems and integrating these systems, they can be involved in that whole chain and share their knowledge and figure out where the loopholes might be.
And the operations and dev and operations teams and really DevOps in general is well situated to kind of be partners with the security teams, right? So because they have the in-depth knowledge of like what's going on the wire, what's going on in the logs, what's going on in the systems, and it just makes a lot of sense to kind of unite those groups and kind of work together.
Right. So just getting them to be able to collaborate in some way, maybe as a small first step, is a good one. Yeah, I think, and just all that instrumentation and that we already have out there, just taking that and then pulling in the security brain power to also take a look at that and help parse some of that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So what do you hope for, in the area that you're so interested in, the security and the DevOps, what do you hope to see in the next couple of years? How do you want this area to evolve? What do you hope people will be able to do 2 years from now or 4 years from now? Yeah. So what do I see in the future in the next 2 to 4 years? Yeah. How would you like to see, the kind of activities going on? I mean, I'd really like to see the Oklahoma Sooners win a national championship. Okay, well, I'm not sure we can promise any of that, but we're still hoping. I think that just that synthesis of the groups, kind of uniting between those, I think that would be that's really, really crucial. DevOps Sec hug. All three kind of getting together and try to bring the QA kind of in the loop of that too. Basically it's
some people have proposed like star ops and things like that. But
okay.
The idea that
new acronym.
Well, no, I mean, basically we're kind of putting it all under the DevOps umbrella.
Right.
We're not trying to change it, but
the whole concept of DevOps is working together. Really, that's at the core of it. And the more you can bring in, more other groups, I think the better. Right?
Yeah, because I think we're still at a point where we're still kind of initial adopting on the on DevOps, and so kind of but moving that into the security. Just like your first question was great because it's like, why don't we see?
Haven't they?
Why don't we see that? Because it's a natural progression. So
that makes a lot of sense. Well, great. Hopefully, next year when we do this again or something, there would have been a lot of progress, and I'll be asking you, what are all the companies that are doing this now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, James, for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
Bye.